when Tun Mahathir was Prime Minister of Malaysia and he was in Japan, when reporters asked how was it going with India as his father was Indian, he replied that he was spoonfuls of Indian. I'm Architect Perumal from What's Wrong Out There. This video is about how we have forgotten our past. Melayu mudah, lupa. His great-grandfather was Indian, otherwise he is a Malay.
Last week you met with the Prime Minister Modi from India, and personally your father is originally from India. How do you think about the relation Malaysia and India over looking at the China issue? Thanks very much.
With regard to myself, my father is not Indian. Originally, my great-great-grandfather was from Indian. There are a few spoonfuls of blood left in my body, but otherwise I am a Malay.
When UMNO President Zahid called on Mahathir as Indian and whose real name was Mahathir Iskander, he denounced it, and his daughter Marina came out in defense that his grandfather was Iskander. Iskander is a name referring to Alexander the Great. The root problem here was, why is he or any of his relative or Marina has to distance himself from anything but Indian? Let's look at history. As Mahathir said, Melayu mudah, lupa. Malaysia Kini said his father was an Indian man from the southern Indian state of Kerala by the name of Mohamad Kutty. Malays forget easily. Furthermore, in Klang, when Mahathir was speaking to Malaysians, he referred to the Indians as Keling.
Kita mesti merangkak menyembah orang ini untuk kebenaran. Saya nak guna perkataan Keling sikit. Orang Keling kata borak.
Derogatory word for Tamils, or rather Mahathir mudah lupa keturunannya. Mahathir may have spoonfuls of Indian blood, but his name is not spoonful, maybe a mouthful. Mahathir means big, great, or super in Indian, and Thir means Mr. in the language of Tamil, or Kling. The Klings call it Mr. When he was appointed as Prime Minister by the King, he must have referred to the King as Daulat Tuanku. A word Daulat is also an Indian word. When Mahathir was Prime Minister for 20 over years, he was designated the post of Perdana Menteri, which word is a Kling word for Prime Minister. It is an Indian word for Prime Minister. In India, it's used as Menteri Perdana Modi, which is a Kling word for Prime Minister. So when Mahathir was in the office as Prime Minister for many years, he built up the whole city of Putrajaya. Well, just another word, Putrajaya is a Kling word too. Putrajaya means victorious prince. And in the surrounding area of Putrajaya, he built Cyberjaya, another Kling word, which means zero victory. Cyber means zero in Indian, and Jaya means victory. The word Maha is also used by three other rulers in the Kadaram region, the kings of Kadaram, ancient Kada. Mahadeva 1, Mahadeva 2, Mahadeva 3. Marina Mahathir said, my father's mother, Wan Tempaya, came from a long line of Kada royal household courtiers. Yes, we can see where the Maha comes from. The traditional kingdom of Kadaram, a mother's line of household courtiers into the Kada royalty shows that. The following are the list of leaders in the Kadaram region. 9 in total, each used the Hindu title Sri Paduka Maharaja. The exact dates of king's reign are not known, but approximately such as this. Mahadeva I ruled from 440 to 465 AD. Again, this distancing from anything Indian and removing the stigma of being an Indian is strange. If someone says that you have Chinese blood and you would go at length to prove that you're not Chinese, what does it say about the perception of Chinese? Well, they look down on the Chinese. So did Mahathir and Marina went all the distance to discredit any relationship with being Indian. One is either they look down or it's a political position to gain the favors of the Malay votes. Well, Mahathir may have been a small percentage of Indian blood. I have to check his maths here, what it is meant to be spoonful. But his name is 100% Indian. While as a prime minister, he fought for the Bumiputra status. By the way, Bumiputra is also an Indian word. He spoke Bahasa daily, fighting for the Bahasa Malaysia. The word Bahasa is also an Indian word. Why hate the ancestry of Mahathir? Disparage his grandparents, great-grandfather as spoon or spoonfuls? What? His great-grandfather is not a person? It's only a spoon, being spoonful, not a real human being? Let's get real. Just a minute. If anyone ought to be grateful, is Mahathir to the Indians. In him, the Malay language has been Romanized by Indians, and the Islam was brought in by the Indians. Penang was once part of Kedah. There's a group of Indians in Penang called the Chulias, who have lost the ability to speak Tamil and speak Bahasa Malaysia, who were once of the region of Kadaram. Now, however, the historical sources prove that ancient Indians arrived in Penang during the Chola dynasty. Chola dynasty had a great influence in this region for thousands of years. Now look at the diagram of what influence our nation as we are today. The Chola kingdom of India influenced this region for 1,300 years. They spoke a language of Tamils, which now we call Keling. And the Keling dynasty influenced this whole region for 1,300 years. And so soon before, as the Chola Empire was about to fall, another Hindu kingdom, Sri Vijaya, dominated this area for 700 years, followed by the Majapahit Empire, which ruled this region again from 235 years, just before the Malacca Sultanate even started. Now, even the Malacca Sultanate was started by a Hindu prince, Parameswara. Now we can see why the Bahasa is such a language that is primarily made of the language of the Klings. The Malay language is almost completely derived from the Indian language. And early literature is predominantly based on the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. Even today, a major portion of the Malay vocabulary is made of Indian words. Now, give an example here. Now, I'm going to read a Malay text here. Hari ini, Raja-Raja, Putra-Putri, golongan bangsawan, bendahara, bendahari, menteri-menteri dan perdana menteri, serta orang ramai dari Putra Jaya berhimpun di Menara Wisma Budaya Cyberjaya. Perdana Menteri memulakan acara peristiwa dengan menyampaikan ucap utama bertema Rencana Keluarga Malaysia dalam bahasa Malaysia di hadapan anggota angkasawan dan anggota tentera negara kita. Selepas acara ini, belia-belia berputra dikurniakan anugerah siswa. Now you watch, there are 61 words here. Of the 61 words, 60% of the words are Indian texts. Well, now we can see from why Bahasa Malaysia is predominantly the language of the Indians. It's based on the Indian language and is predominantly, and so the reason to disparage Tamils as Klings and in a derogatory way, I don't see why. In fact, in the reverse, we ought to be grateful. I'm a Malaysian first, second, an Indian. And it's not proper for a prime minister or ex-prime minister to speak ill of the Tamils or Indians as he is the Prime Minister of all races. Mahathir should have in Japan said to the Japanese reporter, I'm a Malaysian and I'm a Prime Minister of Malaysia and not the Indians. In the light of the call of a Prime Minister for Keluarga Malaysia, we should be all grateful for one another's contribution of the races that they may contributed to the nation. Not divide or look down disparagingly on one another. It's time to look forward to forge a new Malaysia, even if by looking at the past and not mudah lupa keturunan kami. I'm Architect Paroma from What's Wrong Out There. If you like what was said here, please strike the subscribe button and please share it to your friends for more interesting stories with a compelling logic and argument.